was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberty.
Some people did something, said a freshman congresswoman from Minnesota, to support and justify the creation of CARE. Today I am here to respond to you exactly who did what to whom. Madam, objectively speaking, we know who and what was done.
Let's rewind history for a moment. In the aftermath of 9/11, as America tried to heal from unimaginable loss, one organization rose from the chaos, pledging to protect civil liberties. Years later, Representative Ilhan Omar would stand before cameras and utter the words that reignited national outrage. Some people did something. For millions, those 4 words weren't just insensitive. They felt like a wound reopened. They pierced through the memory of nearly 3,000 lives lost that day. In this story, we go beyond the headlines to uncover how one statement reshaped her public image, reopened old scars, and cemented Ilhan Omar as one of the most polarizing figures in modern U.S. politics.
Uncertainty about that. Why your confusion? On that day, 19 Islamic terrorist members of Al-Qaeda killed over 3,000 people and caused billions of dollars of economic damage. Is that clear? But as to whom? I was attacked. Your relatives and friends were attacked. Our constitutional freedoms were attacked. And our nation's founding on Judeo-Christian principles were attacked. That's what some people did. Got that now?
Let's be clear, that something wasn't small. It was 19 Al-Qaeda extremists who tore through America's heart, killing thousands and shattering a nation's sense of safety. The attacks didn't just take lives. They changed the course of history. And yet, Omar's words seemed to soften that horror, as if the devastation could somehow be minimized. The backlash was swift and unrelenting. For many Americans, this wasn't about partisanship. It was about patriotism, remembrance, and respect. A single question began echoing across the country. How could an elected leader speak so casually about the darkest day in modern history? That question became the spark for a political firestorm that still burns years later.
Pursuant to Clause 2A.1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of
Fast forward to Congress, where Ilhan Omar's name once symbolized progress, but now carried controversy. The chamber sat in uneasy silence as lawmakers prepared to make history. A representative from Georgia rose and began reading a resolution, a censure of Ilhan Omar. Each word fell like a hammer. Accusations of betrayal, divided loyalty, and moral treason filled the air. This wasn't just another partisan fight. It was personal. The House floor had become a battlefield of ideals, and Ilhan Omar stood at the very center.
Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treason.
The resolution carried more than political weight. It invoked the sacred oath sworn by every lawmaker to protect the United States. Yet, the accusations went deeper than policy. Lawmakers alleged that in a January 2024 speech in Minneapolis, Omar pledged loyalty not to America, but to Somalia. The crowd at her event reportedly erupted in applause. Some saw her words as cultural pride, but in Washington, they were interpreted as defiance. Her alleged remark that the U.S. government would follow Somali orders detonated to the Capitol like a thunderclap. What might have been dismissed as fiery rhetoric transformed into a national crisis. raising one question that no one could ignore. Had loyalty been replaced by allegiance to another flag?
Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. Whereas Representative...
Then came the statement that shook the nation. Omar allegedly told Somali leaders, "They will do what we want, nothing else." Those words sent shockwaves through America's political core. Was this cultural pride or proof of foreign influence inside the U.S. government? Her further vow to protect Somalia from within the U.S. system deepened the outrage, fueling fears of infiltration and betrayal. Within hours, every major network replayed her words on loop. Analysts dissected every sentence. Both parties, Democrats and Republicans, were forced to confront a haunting question. In a nation built on diversity, where does cultural pride end and divided loyalty begin?
I am in U.S. Congress. Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1790.
But then, an unexpected voice entered the debate, not from Omar, but from history itself. The resolution invoked the words of George Washington's farewell address, warning against divided loyalty and false patriotism. As a line, "The name America must always come before any other," echoed through the chamber. It felt less like a quotation and more like a verdict. In that moment, the founding fathers' ghostly reminder filled the room. Allegiance is not a spectrum. It's a standard. The message was clear. The line between heritage and loyalty had been redrawn. And according to resolution, Ilhan Omar now stood on the wrong side of it.
Against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country. That country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discrimination.
By now, the resolution's language had hardened. From accusation to conviction, it no longer implied betrayal. It declared it. Ilhan Omar, it stated, had violated her oath and acted as a foreign agent. The hearing ceased to be a reprimand. It became a symbolic trial over loyalty and freedom inside America's own halls of power. To her critics, this was long overdue accountability, a defense of national integrity. To her supporters, it was a witch hunt, a public spectacle designed to silence a dissenting voice. Either way, one truth was undeniable. Ilhan Omar was no longer just a congresswoman. She had become a lightning rod for America's deepest fears about identity, allegiance, and democracy itself.
These statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office. And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia...
The final resolution declared that Omar had placed the interests of a foreign nation above the United States. Each line struck like a gavel, harsh, deliberate, final. For some, it was a defense of national honor. For others, a public crucifixion. The tone resembled wartime rhetoric, patriotism used as both weapon and warning. It left no room for nuance, no space for redemption. And as the words echoed through the chamber, one truth lingered in the silence. This wasn't just about Ilhan Omar anymore. It was about what America expects from its leaders and what it fears most within them.
In her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now therefore be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of the Budget and the Committee on Education.
As the echoes of the gavel faded, the room felt heavier, haunted by history. Ilhan Omar stood motionless, absorbing a verdict that would forever define her legacy. Around her, the divide was unmistakable. Some believed they had defended the Republic. Others believed they had destroyed it. Outside, chaos erupted. Cable news lit up. Social media split into warring factions. Hashtag Stand With Omar versus hashtag Protect America. Each side claimed to defend democracy itself. And as the dust settled, one truth became clear. This wasn't just a censure. It was a mirror reflecting a nation divided not just by politics, but by identity, allegiance, and a question that still haunts America today. Who truly speaks of people? And where does loyalty begin